Ludwig Wittgenstein argued that language shapes not just our communication, but our entire understanding and perception of the world. According to Wittgenstein, language is not simply a neutral medium we use to describe a pre-existing reality. Rather, it actively structures and limits our thinking. In other words, the concepts, categories, and expressions embedded in our language influence how we conceptualize our experiences, beliefs, and even the world itself. He famously stated, "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world." By this, he meant that our cognitive horizons, what we can think, imagine, or express, are inherently bounded by the linguistic tools we possess. But what if those tools could be upgraded? Language doesn't merely reflect your thinking, it actively shapes it. By consciously choosing words that uplift and empower, you are not just describing your reality, you are actively creating it. You are not merely speaking, you are building. How can you rewire your language habits to build the future you want? It begins with awareness. Start noticing the words you say to yourself. Are they words that empower you, or do they reinforce your limits? Shift phrases like, "I can't do this," to "I'm learning how to figure it out." Replace "this is impossible" with "I will find a way." Over time, these small shifts create a profound impact. This isn't just about positive thinking in a superficial sense. It's about laying the mental foundation for your goals. By using language that reflects the reality you want to build, you are guiding your subconscious to support those beliefs, steadily constructing a future aligned with your highest aspirations. Each time you catch a negative phrase, replace it with one that opens new possibilities. For example, instead of saying, "This will never work," say, "Someone has done it before, and I can too." It may seem simple, but this habit has the power to fundamentally change how you approach challenges. Imagine living a life where the foundation is made of growth, strength, and positivity. Every word you speak becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your life, shaping not just what you experience, but who you become. And as you become more intentional with your language, you begin to tap into a deeper power. One that doesn't just describe life, but actively creates it. In a famous study by psychologist John Bargh, participants were asked to complete a word puzzle using terms related to old age, like Florida, gray, and wrinkle. What they didn't know was that the real test came afterward. As they left the room, researchers timed how slowly they walked down the hallway. The result? Those primed with elderly-related words walked significantly slower, as if their bodies had internalized the language without even realizing it. This is the power of priming. Subtle linguistic cues can shape not just how we think, but how we move through the world. If a few words can change the way you walk, imagine what your daily vocabulary is doing to your destiny. Words like abundance, growth, and joy elevate your mental and emotional energy. In contrast, words tied to doubt, lack, and limitation subtly drain your strength and dim your potential. When you begin choosing language that resonates with your vision, you're not merely thinking positively, you're actively shaping your mind, your body, and your future. This is not an invitation to engage in passive expression. It is a call to step into conscious reality creation. Every word is a choice. Every phrase carries a vibration that helps build or dismantle the reality you experience. Use this power with care, and you will begin to witness your ideal world gradually taking form. By now, you understand, words are not just sounds or symbols. They are vibrational frequencies capable of sculpting your life, your body, and your mind. And modern neuroscience confirms this truth. When you say the word pain, your brain doesn't just treat it as a neutral signal, it responds. The anterior insula, one of the core regions involved in processing physical and emotional pain, activates, releasing neural patterns eerily similar to those triggered by actual injury. The body flinches. The mind prepares for hurt. Language, it turns out, doesn't describe pain. It can simulate it. And the reverse is also true. Speak the word hope. Say growth, abundance, yet a possibility. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of imagination, planning, and long-term vision, lights up, forming new pathways that didn't exist before. Neurons fire, synapses strengthen. You're not just being positive, you're literally rewiring your brain for the future you envision. This is the science of embodied cognition, a powerful idea that thought is not just abstract, but bodily. That your language doesn't merely float in the air, but sinks into your muscles, your hormones, your posture, your immune system. Words are instructions to your nervous system. Say, I'm stuck, and your body contracts. Say, I am discovering a new way, and your brain begins mapping routes toward possibility. It's not magic, it's biology. So each time you speak, you are not merely expressing an idea, you are programming your internal world. The tone you use, the metaphors you repeat, the stories you tell yourself silently, they all become part of your living architecture, your habits, your decisions, your sense of what's possible. Language is not passive. It is constructive, directive, sometimes even destructive. But when used with intention, it becomes sacred. And this brings us to something deeper. Every word you speak participates in the compilation of the universe's code. Language is not merely descriptive, it is generative. It's a blueprint embedded with instructions, not only for how we interpret the world, but for how the world responds. When Wittgenstein said, "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world," he pointed to a boundary. But what he didn't mention was the hidden backdoor. To reconstruct language is to rewrite the source code of reality itself. And now you hold administrator access. Every phrase, every metaphor, every internal dialogue is a line of functional code. I can't is a restriction. I'm learning is an open loop. You're not just changing sentences, you're updating your internal operating system. Most people live as users of the system, unaware that their vocabulary determines the possibilities available to them. But once you become aware, once you realize that words are not just reflections, but commands, you begin to step into a higher role, the coder of your own consciousness. Reality, in the end, is not fixed, it is rendered. And the rendering engine is language. From the smallest thought to the grandest vision, language defines how you perceive the world, and how the world, in turn, responds to you. You now hold a key, a tool powerful enough to unlock the reality you have always longed for. Think back to the words you have habitually used. Are there phrases that have quietly kept you small, bound, limited? Now imagine replacing them with words that empower, expand, and liberate. You're not just changing your vocabulary, you're transforming the very way you experience life. So now the question isn't just, what do you believe? It's what language are you using to shape that belief? You've seen how words can build walls or open doors, how they can shrink your world or expand it beyond what you thought was possible. With every phrase, you're writing the code of your consciousness. The only question that remains is, what reality will you choose to speak into existence? Because in the end, the most powerful spell isn't cast in secret. It's spoken every day in the quiet dialogue between you and yourself. Choose wisely, speak intentionally, and watch your world transform. If this message spoke to something deep within you, I invite you to leave a word in the comments. A word that empowers you, a phrase you want to live by. This simple act can be the first step in rewriting your inner language. And if you'd like to continue this journey, exploring the unseen forces that shape your mind and reality, consider subscribing. Your presence here matters more than you know.